Good morning. Good to be in the house of the Lord. If you'll stand, we'll worship God together. This is a song that we've sung for a couple weeks now, so you should know it by heart at this point. You should hear it from when you sleep. Let's sing, "There's Nothing That Our God Can't Do."
Storm that surrounds me, and just one word, the darkness has to retreat. Christ is my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand when everything around me is shaking. I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus, 'cause he's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he fail now? He won't. He won't. I've still got joy in chaos. I've got peace that makes no sense. So I won't be going under. I'm not held by my own strength, 'cause I built my life on Jesus. He's never let me down. He's faithful in every season. So why would he fail now? He won't. He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. No, he won't. He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. Rain came, wind blew, but my house was built on you. And I'm safe with you. I'm gonna make it through. Rain came, wind blew, but my house was built on you. I'm safe with you. I'm gonna make it through. Yeah, I'm gonna make it through. 'Cause I'm standing strong on you. Yeah, I'm gonna make it through. 'Cause my house was built on you. Christ is my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand when everything around me shaking. I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus. He's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he fail now? He won't. He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. No, he won't. He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. No, he won't.
This next one I think you should know. I'm going to need your help. We're going to sing this one together.
Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning
last couple weeks, we've been talking about big faith and a big God. Do you realize there's nothing he can't do? And he continues to show up. Do you believe that? That God continues to show up for his people. And this song just simply says, I believe he can do it again. Regardless of the situations that we find ourselves in, regardless of the circumstances we find ourselves in, that God will show up and his faithfulness is always true. He's continually be faithful. So just sing this song with us.
Walking around these walls, I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me yet. Waiting for change to come, knowing the battle's won, for you have never failed me yet. Your promise still stands, great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands, this is my confidence, you've never failed me yet. I know the night won't last, your word will come to pass. My heart will sing your praise again. Jesus, you're still enough. Keep me within your love. My heart will sing your praise again. Your promise still stands, great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands, this is my confidence, you've never failed. Your promise still stands, great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands, this is my confidence, you've never failed me yet. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness. Your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed me yet. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness. Your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness. Your faithfulness. Still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed me yet.
Dear God, Lord, I'm thankful for a Sunday where we can say you've been faithful. That it's our confidence to say even before the battle's won that, God, you will continue to remain faithful. God, I pray that in our hearts and our minds we prepare our hearts to be in your hands. That, God, you would begin to use us in a place like never before, challenge us in ways we've never been challenged. And, God, I pray that you would speak to Pastor Ryan and speak through him this morning. And all God's people said, amen.
You may be seated. We are glad that you are here this morning at CNC. And hopefully you received a bulletin of ways to get connected. But I wanted to point out, on Tuesday nights, there's a group that meet together. They write cards, make phone calls, pray for people, serve, love, compassion. And so if you have not found a place to get plugged in, and you can write, or you can talk, or you can smile and shake hands, one of those things, you should join us on Tuesday night as a way to serve. How many of you have siblings? How many of you have siblings? All right, good. Good. Today's topic, well, we all have it. We all have family problems. Now, instantly, you probably thought of that one person in your family that drives you the most crazy. I'm child 4 out of 5. I have an older sister, then brother, me, and a younger sister. And so we've been talking about Joseph and a big God and big faith. And Joseph was the youngest brother, and I'm the youngest brother. So I was trying to think about ways to connect with Joseph. To my knowledge, my brothers have never tried to kill me, actually, or sell me into slavery. To my knowledge, I wouldn't put it past them, but to my knowledge, this is what having older brothers look like. And if you're the older brother in your family, you're probably participating in these activities. I was in middle school when both of my older brothers joined the wrestling team. And believe it or not, I was not bigger than them. And so they would go to wrestling practice after school and come home and want to continue wrestling practice. my willingness didn't matter. My willingness to participate in the continuation of wrestling practice didn't matter. So when they learned a new move, they would come home, tie me in a knot, saying uncle or mercy or tapping out. None of that ever helped. That's what having an older brother looks like. Instead of fighting and getting in trouble, we once had the idea that we would just put socks on our hands for boxing gloves. And so we're outside in the street like a bunch of hillbillies, and I don't know, 5 or 6 pairs of socks on each hand, tube socks, so it's like down to my elbow. And we thought, for some reason, if we punched each other with socks on our hands, it would help. No face shots, obviously. Well, about 13 seconds in, I get punched square in the nose. Blood going everywhere. And I have no fingers to do anything. I only have socks on my hands. And so I have to walk in the house, ruined all the socks because they're white, bloody, holding socks to my face. When we moved in with my stepdad, he liked golf, and so we had golf clubs, and we would have roller skates, and we lived at the end of the road, and so we would fill the ditch in the fall with leaves. And we would take his golf clubs and whatever we could find for a hockey puck, and we'd put the rollerblades on, and we would play hockey in the street. Realistically, what we did is if you were willing to go on the side where the leaves were, it was free game to just knock you into the ditch, as if we were playing hockey and they were getting knocked into the wall. We had a basketball goal, and it was adjustable, and he would lower it. We would lower it so we could dunk, so we thought we were good. But they were bigger than me, and so I would stand there and try to guard them and just get totally demolished, hit into the pole, holding up the basketball goal. Lots of fights occurred during basketball, during street hockey. During boxing, with socks on your hands, it didn't work out well. Wrestling practice, being the smaller person and not knowing the moves, didn't work out for me either. Maybe you have stories where your siblings did similar things. Now, there's plenty of stories that I can't share. You have those stories too. Cutting out the bottom of underwear so you can't use them anymore. Ripping the toes off the ends of the sock so when you put your sock on, your toes were showing. Having older brothers was always fun. Since I had 2 of them, it was nice because if I was mad at one of them, I would just go hang out with the other one. Or if one of them was picking on me, which was normally my middle brother, I would go get my older brother. And we would devise a plan to get him back. And those, I'm not sharing either. So we get to Joseph. In the last few weeks, we've gone through this story, but I want to focus on his relationships within the family. We've talked about multiple things, and so we'll run through the story. We'll read through it, but I'll be jumping around. So we're going to start in Genesis chapter 37, and we're going to go and jump from there. Joseph was the youngest and favorite son. I can't say that I was my mom's favorite, but I could easily look at my brother's mistakes and learn from it, and I wouldn't do the same things that they did because I learned from it. But Jacob has Joseph in his old age, and he becomes his favorite. So Genesis chapter 37, starting with verse 2. This is the account of Jacob's family line. Joseph, a young man, 17, was tending the flocks with his brothers, the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and he brought their father a bad report about the brothers. So he's tattling. A lot of the favorite kids think that that's the teacher's pets, thinks that that's going to help them out. Helped me out. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any other sons because he had been born at an old age, and he made a fancy robe for him. And his brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them, and they hated him and could not speak a single kind word about him. So Joseph had a dream, and when he told his brothers that they hated him even more, he said to them, "Listen, I had a dream. We were binding up sheaves of grain out in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, and all of yours bowed down around mine." "Do you intend to reign over us?" his brothers said to him. "Will you actually rule us?" They hated him all the more because of his dreams. Now, if I would have told my brothers, "Hey, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm actually going to be so high and lifted up that you're going to bow down to me," how would that have worked out in your family? If you told your older sibling, "Hey, be prepared to worship me," okay? Probably not going to work out. Verse 9. So he had another dream, and he told his brothers. He obviously didn't learn not to share with his brothers what God was doing in and through his dreams. He said, "Listen, I had another dream, and this time even the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars were bowing down to me." So he told his father, as well as his brothers, and his father rebuked him and said, "What is this dream you had? Will even your mother and I bow down to you?" His brothers were jealous of him, and his father kept the matter in mind. Not a parent, but maybe parents, I want to point a couple things out. Do you have a favorite child? Like, you don't have to answer that out loud or if they're sitting next to you. But do you show favoritism? Some of you are looking around, and that's awkward. Do you show favoritism? Because at the very beginning of this story, even before Joseph had the dreams, Joseph was the favorite. Maybe it was because he was the baby. Maybe the baby gets a little more of an easy route in life. But favoritism from a parent actually started the jealousy in the hearts of the siblings. I'm not saying you should treat all your children exactly the same, because there's different personalities, different things that impact those relationships. But are you setting your family up for strife and tension, or love and community? Jealousy began because of the father's favoritism. So it created the jealousy and the frustration. Two Hebrew words that you're going to say with me. The first one is ach. So be careful not to do it too hard and then something come out of your mouth. Ach. So say that with me. Ach. Ach. That's the Hebrew. Okay, stop. The Hebrew word, that is the Hebrew word for brother. There's no word for family in this story. The Hebrew is just the generations of Jacob. So the stories of Jacob's lineage, of his heritage. So Ak is the word for brother. Ak. The second Hebrew word I want to teach you this morning is Saul-na. Saul-na. Say that with me. Saul-na. Simple. Sounds simple? That's the word for hatred. Saul-na. Ak, Saul-na. That phrase in these 13 chapters of this full story, but within about 8 chapters, that phrase is repeated more than any other phrase. The point of this first half of this story, the Hebrew writer was trying to get across the bitter hatred that the brothers had for Joseph. They could probably stand up here and tell the stories that go far beyond what we read in Genesis 37. They can probably tell stories that would have put them in jail if they shared them publicly. The tension within the family is being exaggerated, not out of control, but that's the main focus that's repeated over and over and over. So we're going to jump down to verse 17. And so Joseph starts, he shared that second dream with his dad and with his brothers. And so later on, his dad's like, hey, go check on your brothers. Last time you checked on them, you came back and ratted on them. And so go check on them. And so they're wandering around, and he meets this person. They're like, oh, they're in the other valley. So he goes to the other valley, and he has that fancy coat on. And so that fancy coat that was used for a blessing and showed favoritism, but that was used for a blessing, now helps their brothers, while he was still a far ways off, is what Scripture says, identify who was coming. So that gift that was used as a blessing now identifies him, and it allows his brothers to begin to plan to kill him. Verse 17, so Joseph went after his brothers, and he found them in Dothan, but they saw him at a distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. Here comes that dreamer, they said to each other. Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of the cisterns, and say that a ferocious animal devoured him. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams. When Reuben heard of this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. Let's not take his life, he said. Don't shed any blood. Throw him into the cistern here in the wilderness, but don't lay a hand on him. Reuben said this to rescue him from them and to take him back to his father later. So Joseph came up with his brothers. They stripped him of the robe and the fancy robe that he was wearing, and then they took him and threw him into the cistern, which was empty and had no water in it. So they devised this plan, and like I shared a minute ago, like if one brother was messing with me, I would just go get the other brother. And so Reuben was that other brother this time. Reuben was the one that was trying to protect Joseph. But he's also outnumbered 9-1. So it's not like he can just fight all of them off. So he creates his own little plan to come back and get Joseph and take him home later. So Judah said to his brothers, what will we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and we won't lay our hands on him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood. And his brothers agreed. Then they got Joseph's robe, and they slaughtered a goat and dipped the robe in the blood, and they took the robe back to the father. Said, we found this. Check it out and see if this is your son's robe. Then Jacob tore his clothes, put a sackcloth, and mourned for his son for many days. All his sons and daughters came to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. "No," he said, "I will continue to mourn until I join my son in the grave." So his father wept for him. So we have this plan. We'll kill him, we'll throw him in the cistern. No, let's not do that. Let's just sell him and get him out of our life. We'll never see him again. He'll be a slave in a foreign country. Excuse me. And maybe we'll become Dad's favorite. But what happened was, as you can imagine, they devastated their father. Devastated the father. When family hurt goes unchecked or unhealed, it's going to continue to fester. When we have bitterness or jealousy or selfishness in our life, as it comes to our family, if it goes unchecked, it'll continue to hurt people. Family brokenness continues when unhealed hurts continue. Your family is full of people. And people will let you down. And people can betray you. We talk about church as a family, and the church is full of people. And people can let you down. And people can betray you. Joseph's family thought he was too small or too young for these types of dreams to be fulfilled. He was the youngest, not the pride of the family, which is the oldest son. He was too small. He was too weak. We shouldn't have to bow down to him. We get the full picture in the story and look back at what these dreams mean. Are you plotting to destroy someone? You see, I don't know if you ever listened to John Crist. He's a Christian comedian. But he has this bit where he talks about the family group chat. How many of you have family group chats? Yeah, it's okay. Some of you are willing to admit it. You possibly have a family group chat minus one person. And so the one person that you don't want in the group chat, so you can talk freely about the person that's not in the group chat, until one day when it backfires and when you send the text message in the group chat that's included, where they're included. You see, gossip within your family, still gossip. Slander within your family, still slander. You don't get a free pass to say whatever you want about your family members. It's still, what we're still aiming for is a Christ-like attitude and response, even in the midst of conflict and tension. So we're going to fast forward to chapter 45. In chapter 45, Joseph has been in slavery and he was raised up and then had the situation with Potiphar's wife, ends up in jail, gets raised up in jail, gets put in charge of the jail, interprets Pharaoh's dreams, and he's put in charge of practically all of Egypt. And so has Pharaoh's dream is 7 years of blessing and abundance, 7 years of drought, okay? And so we get to this point where there's 7 years of drought, and Joseph's brothers come to Egypt from Canaan to get food. There's no food anywhere, but through Joseph's life and obedience, there's food in Egypt, so they're coming to Egypt to get food. And so it says this, starting in verse 7 of chapter 45. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them. 42. But he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. "Where do you come from?" he asked. "From the land of Canaan," they replied. "We're here to buy food." Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him. Then he remembered his dreams about them. He said, "You are spies. You have come to see where our land is unprotected." So Joseph's brothers come to get food. He recognizes them, but he's about to test their heart and growth as men. And so the faith confronts hurt, but leaves room for healing. Maybe you operate in a family where you just don't talk about the things. Maybe you have that one or a couple people within the family that you can talk about it with, but ultimately you just brush it under the rug. But faith confronts hurt and leaves room for healing. So then there's this interaction with Joseph and his brothers, and so later, now in verse 45, verse 2, it says, Joseph said to his brothers, "Come close to me." And when they had done so, he said, "I am your brother Joseph." He reveals himself, "The one you sold into Egypt. And now, do not be distressed, and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save the lives of God that God sent ahead of me for you. For 2 years, there had been a famine in the land." So 2 of the 7 years. So there's 5 years. There will be no plowing and no reaping. "But God sent me ahead of you to preserve you a remnant on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So then it was not you who sent me here, but God. He made me father to Pharaoh, lord of his entire household and ruler of Egypt." What the brothers meant for evil, God changed for the good, not of just Joseph's family, but eventually all of Israel, all of God's people that are descendants of Jacob. We have the privilege of looking back and seeing the whole story and reading the whole story. The power that God has to impact our life goes far beyond our circumstances. Even when we make dumb decisions, God's impact and influence in our life can take those to not only be a blessing to our own family, but to a blessing of God's people and to the world. And Israel, ultimately, that's what they're set up to do, to be a blessing to nations. So Joseph reveals himself. He recognizes God's hand in the pain. So everything Joseph went through, he recognizes that it's God. And I think that's a point that I want to challenge you to. Have you been able to look back and see the way God has worked in your life, no matter what you've experienced? Have you been able to look back and point out the moments, the conversations, the relationships, the scenarios that unfolded, that God's presence in that impacted or changed for His good, for His glory, and for your good, what you were experiencing? Forgiveness is an act of faith in God's greater plan. So we keep going. We're in chapter 50 of Genesis. So when Joseph saw their brothers, so Joseph sends his brothers back. They come back to get more grain. They hide a cup in Benjamin's bag, now the youngest child, and Joseph sets them up for failure. All of this was to test whether or not anything had changed. Were they going to treat Benjamin like they treated him in this scenario? So as it unfolded, Joseph blames him. They tell him to go get Benjamin, who his father won't let go with them because he's scared of what may happen to Benjamin. And so they get to this scenario where Joseph puts them to the test and they pass. They didn't treat Benjamin the way they treated him. are we able to see how our siblings and families' lives are changing because of God's work? First impressions is a big deal. You can maybe remember when the first time you met maybe your significant other. It matters. We don't really have the benefit of that with siblings. In my scenario, 4 of my siblings existed way before I did. And so they just have always been. There was no first impression that I remember. For you, in your family scenarios, are you able to see how God is working in their life? Or is your concept of them consumed by that bad thing that they did? Is it a hurdle that you can't get over? Is it a hurt that you haven't been able to heal? Or are you able to see what God is doing in their life? And so that brings us to Joseph after Jacob dies. So when Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, he said, "What if Joseph holds a grudge against us and pays us back for all the wrongs we did to him?" So they sent word to Joseph saying, "Your father left these instructions before he died. This is what you are to say to Joseph. I ask you to forgive your brothers the sins and their wrongs they committed in treating you so badly. Now please forgive the sins of the servants of God, of your father." When their message came to him, Joseph wept. So his brothers then came and threw themselves down before him. "We are your slaves," they said. But Joseph said to them, "Do not be afraid. I am in the place of the gods. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, saving many lives. So then don't be afraid. I will provide for you and your children." And he reassured them and spoke kindly to them. At the opportunity for revenge for Joseph, he chose forgiveness and kindness. Sometimes we bottle up some things and we just want to give them what they deserve. They earned this. The harder thing is to forgive them, to show mercy. That's the more difficult challenge. Not to hold it against them or not to give them what they deserve, but to show mercy. Joseph, 20 years before that, may have reacted differently. A handful of verses before this, what we just read, Joseph was able to see God's plan. You are not going to be able to get to a place of forgiveness one day because you prayed for it. Forgiveness comes on this level with the development of your character and relationship with Christ. Your relationship with Christ grows and develops. Those deeper hurts can only be dealt with, or cannot be dealt with a shallow faith. Because the next thing that person does wrong, it'll be brought back up. Your relationship with your family members, even extended family members, your relationship with them, forgiveness cannot happen just one day because of a conversation or an interaction. Your character has to show humility, forgiveness, and grace, and grow and develop that to be healed. In order for reconciliation to happen, you have to have humility. You have to have a change of heart and action. So the brothers their attitude toward Joseph before this and after their father died, completely different. Completely different. Takes two to tango. I'm not telling you to stay in or return to some sort of unhealthy, imbalanced relationship. But what I'm saying is, if your character seeks reconciliation and healing in a relationship, then that's your responsibility. You can control that part. If it's not welcome or not received, or there's no grace or understanding on the other end, that's out of your control. But we have to share a hope in the reconciliation of that relationship. In Ephesians, Paul writes about this one body and how we can't really function in one body if we're all just always in tension, if there's always tension. When there's pain, what do you focus on? You focus on the pain. If you stub your toe, it doesn't matter what you were walking into the room for. You will focus on the pain. At the point of revenge, Joseph's character remained true to who God had developed him to be to that point. So don't expect to handle difficult situations in a godly way if you're not faithful now to God. You won't wake up one day and receive patience. Every single day, your patience is tested. It's a discipline. All the fruit is. So love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Those aren't things we just get to pray for and have one day because we woke up. Those are things that we put the time and effort and energy into developing. And when God shows His grace to us, those things can come to fruition and be seen by our family. Like I said earlier, this church is family. And it's full of people, and people can let you down. Even people who mean well. We have to have humility, forgiveness, and grace to seek peace. Big faith in a big God, like we've been talking about with Joseph, promotes the reconciliation of these relationships. We have to operate in the fruit of the Spirit. There's people who no longer sit beside you in this room because of frustrations and tensions that we've experienced. We've been able to manage that, but unhealed hurts will continue to produce hurt. Unhealed bitterness or jealousy will only continue to grow bitterness and jealousy. So big faith in a big God offers you the opportunity to reconcile difficult relationships, broken relationships. Trust in God to heal those strained relationships. Be the first one to give, to forgive, and to seek peace. Joseph didn't let his circumstances distract him from what he was called to do. And big faith in a big God will impact your entire family. I don't know what your family gatherings look like. Ours can be kind of hectic at times. We can see moments and people that are kind of annoying to be around, but they're family. Joseph had every excuse to not reconcile those relationships with his brothers. What Joseph had to endure in just 8 or so chapters before he was full of blessing was more than enough reason. Correction. That's more than enough worldly reason to hold it against the family, to not reconcile with the brothers, to send them back to Canaan to starve to death, to withhold God's blessing just for himself. What is your character like? Who have you left out of the group chat? I have an aunt that I only get to see totally randomly. Her name's Carol. And I've met other people with crazy Aunt Carols. She's kind of always been, to me, the craziest that shows up. We were at like a wedding event, and she brought half-eaten birthday cake and set it on the table to be served. She's the one who takes the gifts that she's received and like re-gift them, but maybe slightly used. You have that person in your family. Maybe for you it's a brother or a sister that betrayed you, left you out to dry, let you down, maybe not even on purpose. Maybe it was a parent that showed favoritism, and that's what created the jealousy and bitterness in that relationship. Maybe it's over money. We've seen tons of families be torn apart by money. We have an opportunity as Christians. Every single day, decisions are made. And all of this, as it pertains to relationships, I want to ask you, are you responding in a Christ-like way? Or are you holding on, living out the worldly way to manage those relationships? I'm not saying to stay in or go back to unhealthy, imbalanced relationships. But for you to be healed and set free from that, it's going to take God's faithfulness and your big faith to bring that healing and reconciliation into that relationship. In that family group chat, as a Christian, you're reflecting Christ to your family. What does that look like? What are the relationships in your life that are not reconciled? The heaviness of family relationships kind of hurts. Some of the baggage just inherited. Not intentional. Something that happened to you or to your family, to your extended family, to this church as a whole, as a family. Are you representing Christ in those relationships? My challenge to you this week is to begin the process to reconcile those relationships. Whatever the reasons are, you got to work through that. Sweeping it under the rug only prolongs and deepens the harm and hurt. you, as a Christian, need to seek reconciliation and peace, not wait for the other person to come to you. So whoever it was that came to your mind 30 minutes ago when I started, that's probably the person you should start with and reconcile your relationships. God, you are good. And we thank you so much for Joseph's story and the call that we can have a big faith in you, who can do way more than we had ever planned or imagined for our own life. And so, God, we just ask that through our family and church relationships, that you would challenge us to seek reconciliation, that you would bring the people to mind, that you would convict us when we are operating and working and speaking out of turn, out of what you desire for us. God, continue to hold us accountable. Lord, help us to take action and not just wait. Help us to just pick up the rug and expose what's underneath it. God, with your help, with your grace and your mercy, Lord, we can also be humbled and show grace and mercy to receive forgiveness in broken relationships. God, we love you and we give you all the praise. Amen. Thanks for being here at CNC this morning. You are dismissed.